Welcome to Fireside Giants. My name is Alex with my co-host here, Anthony Rivardo. Today, we want to take a look at one of our Pro Bowl candidates, Xavier McKinney. Obviously, a little injury update from today's practice and what's kind of going on with Daniel Jones here. We did a little update yesterday. He's dealing with a neck strain week to week, but he's limited today, making some progress. We'll talk about, what we expect from him later this week and if he will end up playing. That'll be obviously a big thing for the Giants this weekend against the Dolphins, which Anthony will be attending. And hopefully they can put up a little bit of a better performance than, I guess, the past couple of weeks against the Buccaneers, even a better offensive performance than they did this past weekend against Philly. But I do want to start off with our candidate for the Pro Bowl, Xavier McKinney. Now, Xavier McKinney has taken one of the biggest jumps of maybe any player this season. He started off the year pretty inconsistent, had a couple of issues, really was having trouble reading the field, trying to make those decisions. He gave up 25 yards on 2 receptions in the first week against Denver. Not that bad. Had a decent game overall, not the best in coverage. He didn't really make that many tackles, only 3 total tackles, but he's gotten tremendously better the last 3-4 weeks or so, right? He's been one of the Giants' best defenders after the midway point, and it hasn't even been close. And based on his development and growth this year, I think that he deserves a Pro Bowl nod because of how much he's shown in terms of the type of player he is and is going to become and how much untapped potential he really has, Anthony. But when you're looking at Xavier McKinney, what excites you about him and how you doing today, my friend?
Man, I'm doing great. And you know what? I'm doing a little bit better because now I'm hearing that there's a chance I don't have to watch Mike Glennon on Sunday. I didn't pay half a grand to go watch Mike Glennon. Okay. I might get to see Daniel Jones. We'll see, hopefully. But first and foremost, Xavier McKinney, I got to say this. I told you so. All of you. I told you. I said it from the get go. I said Xavier McKinney will be a star. That was the title of the YouTube video on Fireside Giants that I made by my lonesome. Xavier McKinney will be a star film breakdown. And what is he? He's a freaking star. I knew it. I told you. I said he was going to be a stud, and that's exactly what he's blossomed into very early on in his career. And I said it would be early for him. He would be great nearly as soon as he touched the field. He got sped up to the level of the NFL game, and now he's ready. He is a star. He does look like a Pro Bowl caliber safety, and I do think that with 5 interceptions on the season, he is deserving of a Pro Bowl nod. That's a large amount of interceptions. When was the last time the Giants had a guy with 5 interceptions in a season? It's been a little minute. That's a really high
Stevie
number,
Brown.
and he's not even done, dude. He's still got weeks and weeks left in the season. He might push that number up to like 8. And if the Giants have a safety with 8 interceptions in a season, I can't even think of what the last time that's something like that has happened for the Giants. That would be an incredible number, and I know that's a little bit hypothetical, but listen, he's just playing really good football. Xavier McKinney does look like one of the best safeties in the NFL, arguably the best young safety, first or second year safety in the NFL right now. Super excited by his development. Again, I told you so. I knew he would be a star, and super happy to see that I was right about that, and that Xavier McKinney is blossoming into the star for the New York Giants that they desperately needed on the back end of their defense.
Yeah, I mean, look, one interesting stat to give you an idea of just how great he has been as a ball hawk. He has more interceptions this season than Jamal Adams has in his entire career. So keep that in mind when you're thinking about Xavier McKinney as a coverage safety. And now the one thing I also really love about Xavier McKinney is not just a coverage safety. He's also has the unique ability to run up and make stops in the running game, right? His angles have gotten a lot better. Last year, there was a play against Dallas where, he took a bad angle and I think Zeke took it to the house. There was something, there was a play that happened in that game and against Philly, there was a play where Miles Sanders breaks into the secondary. Xavier McKinney makes the right angle. Don't recall Curtis Riley in that disaster. The guy couldn't freaking read angles. He gave him a protractor. So if you have Xavier McKinney, you have him now making these right decisions, right? He's really seeing the field well. He knows where the running backs are going. He's squeezing them to the sideline, really making sure that they can't get away. He did it to Miles Sanders in this past game. It was really impressive. And he also had an awesome tackle for a loss on Dallas Goedert on a tight end bubble screen. He read this play. He started creeping up a little bit. You can tell that he's really learning a lot from Logan Ryan, the way that he moves in the secondary, which is something that I really noticed because Logan Ryan loves to move back. He likes to move forward. He likes to get parallel to the sideline. There's a lot of different unique things to throw the quarterbacks off when they're reading the coverage pre-snap. Xavier McKinney's learned a lot from him, and he's been doing a lot of things like that, moving up, creeping up a little bit, moving back, getting parallel, and trying to throw off the quarterback. And he did this in the last game. Dallas Goedert, He's running a speed flat route just to get, really, it's really just a screen. But he's going flat and he's trying to get they're trying to get some wide receiver blockers out in front of him. And Xavier McKinney reads it to perfection. He starts to kind of creep up. He sees Dallas Goedert go in motion. He recognizes the play. He probably watched this in film and saw it. And he said, "Oh, I know this play." He starts running full speed downhill. He splits the wide receivers that are trying to block, and he makes a tackle for a loss before Goddard can even turn his head around. It was a tremendous play. Honestly, it was one of the best plays of the game for the defense, and it showed me that Xavier McKinney has legitimate game speed that you cannot replicate for a lot of players. He also has really high football IQ and intelligence, which is something that a lot of players just lack. That is really a main factor for players. Like if you look at Richard Sherman, a player who's really known for his zone coverage abilities, he is such a smart football player. Gets into the right spots, right time. You could even say James Bradbury is a similar way. Really great zone coverage cornerback, super smart, knows the right positioning to be. He's aggressive without giving up too much of a risk factor. And I think Xavier McKinney is developing into a guy like that where he makes the right decisions. He doesn't leave himself open for vulnerabilities. He protects the deeper portions of the field, but he also is really anticipatory and makes reactionary plays to get into position to make capitalize on bad throws or, maybe instinctualized, things there here and there. So when I'm looking at Xavier McKinney, not only has he gotten better physically, but mentally he's gotten a lot better. He's been watching a lot of film. It's apparent when you watch him on tape. And I think that really stood out to me in just addition to his increased strength and speed, and it's just his intelligence, man. He's a smart player. It's really nice to see him taking that step both on the physical and mental side, because I think those two, when you have those two things in unison, in cohesion, you're looking at an all pro caliber player. Now, Anthony, do you think that he's going to win a Pro Bowl this year? I think that maybe it's on the fence because he's had a really great second half, but the first half a little bit weak. He has some troubles early on, but I think that there's a good chance. A lot of it, some of it's fan voting, a lot of it's executives voting from the NFL. But when you're looking at McKinney, do you think this is the year he gets it, or do you think next year we're probably looking at that nod?
I think it might be tough for him to get the actual Pro Bowl nod this year. I think that he'll be in like the top five, and he might be an alternate. Maybe a couple safeties make it deep in the playoffs or to the Super Bowl, or they're injured, whatever the case might be. I think we have a good chance of seeing Xavier McKinney play in the Pro Bowl, but it's not exactly guaranteed, just because he's a young player. He's not as well known. A lot of it is a popularity vote. It is the Pro Bowl. The big names are going to get in just because they're the big names, right? Even if they're not having a great season, they're a big name, so they're going to be in the Pro Bowl. So for Xavier McKinney, he's kind of a young up-and-coming player. He hasn't really made the name for himself in the league that many of the other safeties in the league have already done. So it might be, another year until he really has that established credibility to get into the Pro Bowl. But then again, like I said, 5 interceptions. He's been playing phenomenal football. He's been, a team of the week player. He's really been playing exceptionally well. So I could see him getting the Pro Bowl nod this year. It wouldn't shock me at all. But I also want to mention, Alex, you were discussing kind of his, play recognition and everything. And again, I'm going to toot my own horn because this is not something new. This is something that we saw in college. I just pulled up my scouting. I have a little sheet that I do scouting on every single year. And for Xavier McKinney, I gave him a 9 in play recognition and a 9 in IQ/awareness. This is something that he was good at in Alabama. He's always had a really high football IQ. He's always been an extremely intelligent football player, and it's paying off. Back in college, he was really high IQ, really intelligent, and that's why he was such a good player and why he was worthy of being a first-round pick. The Giants got him in the second round, and they definitely, absolutely got a first-round talent. And right now, the way that he's playing, I hope he makes a Pro Bowl. I think he's deserving. Not guaranteed that he will because it is kind of a popularity contest, but he's definitely deserving of being in the Pro Bowl. And I think us Giants fans got to band together, get on Twitter, do what we got to do, and get the voting numbers up so we can get our boy X-Man into the Pro Bowl this year.
Absolutely. I mean, look, I've been tweeting like daily about, stats and whatnot for him. And today I tweeted he deserves a Pro Bowl nod. His last 3 games specifically have been maybe the best of any safety in the league. He had the best defensive grade per PFF of any safety in the league this past week. 5 receptions allowed and 93 yards in 3 consecutive games. That's combined. He has 3 interceptions in those 3 games, 15 total tackles, and when he's targeted, quarterbacks have a 54.3 quarterback rating. I mean, the guy has just incredible instincts, in-game IQ. His development has been just a pleasure to watch because there has not been many silver linings this year. Xavier McKinney's been one of them. And he's a young player too, which really gets me excited. When you're looking at the Giants as a whole right now, there's a lot of weaknesses If you ranging from the offensive line to the lack of pass rush at outside linebacker, there's so many things that we can say that are wrong. But Xavier McKinney is right. A nice parting gift from Dave Gettleman for Christmas. I'll thank him very much for that. But that I will wave his ass out the door, and hopefully we'll get a GM in here that knows how to build an offensive line. But I do want to jump over to the injury update aspect of the video, and of course, this is definitely a problem heading into Sunday against against these Dolphins. But basically, Daniel Jones limited today. I don't really know what's going on with him, to be honest with you. I mean, he was limited, so there's a possibility he plays, but he's week to week at the same time. And maybe this is just Joe Judge trying to confuse Brian Flores, make him work a little bit harder to see, should they be preparing for Mike Glennon and should they be preparing for Daniel Jones? What are the differences? Make them work a little harder. I mean, it definitely is a tactic that teams use to try and confuse opposing coaches and offensive coordinators and whatnot. So I think that, or rather defensive coordinators. So I think that, this might just be something that the Giants are trying to do to create some confusion within the Dolphins ranks. But he was limited today. Sterling Shepard was limited with a quad injury, and Kyle Rudolph limited as well with an ankle injury. That did not participated. Players range from Cullen Gillespie, Kadarius Toney with oblique and quad. I did not know he had an oblique injury until today. I don't know where he picked that up, but definitely not ideal. Caden Smith with a knee. He's been dealing with that all year. John Ross with an illness. Hopefully he's ready to play and he feels better by Sunday. Trent Harris with an ankle injury. Adoree Jackson with a quad injury. So there's a couple of big names there, and notably Adoree Jackson and Kadarius Toney and John Ross. Those are the guys that really come to mind when I look at those injuries. But Anthony, what is the impact of losing some of these guys? Let's say we're just excluding the limited guys right now, DJ, Sterling, and Kyle. If Kadarius Toney, John Ross, and Adoree Jackson aren't able to play, how big is that to the Giants' game plan?
I think the biggest loss there would be Adoree Jackson. I mean, he's been playing some really good football in that really good Giants secondary. I mean, the Giants secondary has kind of kept the Giants in games and even propelled the Giants to wins this season. And Adoree Jackson has been a big part of that. Of course, James Bradbury struggled early on this year. He's bounced back. He's been a huge part of the defense's success. Xavier McKinney, we just went over him extensively. He's been a huge part of the defense's success. We're getting Logan Ryan back, which is huge for the defense. But Adoree Jackson has been a very, very solid cornerback on the outside for the Giants. So losing him would definitely be the biggest loss out of all of those players that you just listed. John Ross, he's kind of a rotational receiver anyway. So if he's not playing, it's not a huge loss in my opinion. And Kadarius Toney, I'm almost used to him not being on the field because when he was on the field early on this season, he wasn't playing. And then he started to play and he looked really good. And then he just got hurt or whatever reason, he just stopped getting the ball. So, the Giants offense is just so random and inconsistent. I can't really make a determination on Kadarius Toney and the impact that he would or wouldn't have because, like I said, I'm a little bit used to not seeing him on the field in the first place. But I will say this. Daniel Jones does seem to have a very solid chance of playing. Freddie Kitchens was asked today about Daniel Jones, and he said, quote, "I fully expect it to be like regular old times," end quote. So he's saying that he seems to think Daniel Jones will be playing this week. So there is a chance that we have our quarterback out there. That would be huge for the Giants going up against a really good Miami Dolphins defense. Mike Glennon, not the worst backup quarterback in the world, actually probably kind of a good backup quarterback for all things considered. However, we want to see Daniel Jones out there. We want to see him make some plays. We know he's got that deep shot ability. So I'd really hope that he is out there on Sunday. Again, especially because I'm going to be at that game and I want just that little added extra excitement to the game while I'm there watching it in person. But Sterling Shepard being limited in practice, I also think is huge. I know you said we're focused on the guys that aren't limited, but the guys that are limited are pretty important too because Sterling Shepard hasn't been on the field since week 8. He's been out with that quad injury. That's been pretty bad, but it seems like he's finally starting to recover, and I have a pretty good stat for that as well. Sterling Shepard would be huge to get back for the Giants this week. I don't know if he's going to play for sure, but if he does, here's a great statistic. The Giants are facing the Dolphins this weekend, who utilize the most man coverage in the NFL, 48%. 48% of the Dolphins' defensive snaps are on man coverage. Giants targets per route versus man coverage. Who leads the pack? Sterling Shepard. 45% of the time that the Giants are facing man coverage with Sterling Shepard on the field, he is getting the target. So the Giants going up against a defense that plays that much man coverage, they're going to want Sterling Shepard to be out there, and he's going to have to step up in a big way if he is out there ready to play and healthy enough to perform. So that's my take on Sterling Shepard and the Giants injury report. Really hoping that Sterling can make a run into playing on Sunday, hopefully heal up over this weekend and just get ready to go on Sunday because that would be huge for the Giants offense.
It certainly would. And the Giants offense needs to do a little bit better than 13 points. The Dolphins, while their offensive line is a disaster, they still manage to score points. You can't discount Jalen Waddle. The guy's an absolute young stud. Tua Tagovailoa, he has his inconsistencies. The Giants should have a pretty good game defensively against him. They can force some erratic throws, hopefully. And if Joy Jackson is in there, though, expect to see a lot more of Aaron Robinson. He moved to the outside a couple times in his absence. I would love to see him get some more reps at this point in the season. I imagine he will take over that job if, and then, of course, Darnay Holmes is out too. So we're really thin at cornerback right now. It's definitely not ideal. J.R. Reed, I think, backup safety, probably going to get some more snaps there. But ultimately, the Giants, they're thin at some spots. Again, the season kind of feels like it's over already. If they won this game, maybe there'd be a shot at a wild card, but there's just too many injuries to count, man. Too many injuries. The offensive line isn't good enough. Adoree Jackson, Sterling Shepard, Kadarius Toney. There's just so many guys out right now. Not having Blake Martinez, stopping the run is really, really difficult these days. But the Giants, they have some guys. It's going to come down to the defense once again. It always does. But, they've been playing lights out recently. Maybe Xavier McKinney can get himself another interception. That'd be kind of nice if he could finish the season with the highest interception total of any safety. I would be here for it. That's for sure. But guys, make sure to drop a like on the video on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe below on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. Appreciate you guys tuning in again. Daily videos as always. And we'll catch you guys on the next Fireside Giants video.